Good morning, guys and girls. This is Zen Tractor. I'm bringing you something new to the channel today. Now, I never really intended my channel to be just Let's Plays. It's meant to be a mixture of Let's Plays and tournaments and not necessarily reviews, but talks about game design, which is something that I'm really quite interested in and would like to put out there. So, this is the first tournament. The game that we're playing is Reassembly. Reassembly is a game where you build ships out of blocks, and then you can fly them around and build fleets, and get fleets to follow you around and shoot other ships, and they explode, and it's a lot of fun. What's most interesting, and in this case relevant, is the tournament mode, where you can set a fleet of ships, and then pit them to the death. These don't even need to be your ships, you can send them to each other, and then you can pit them against each other, so you can see who would win. So, I am going to run a tournament in Reassembly. I'm just going to leave it going on in the background for the sort of thing that you can expect if you want to participate. So, first of all, we have to talk about the rules, because rules are important. So, it's going to be a 10,000 points tournament, that is 10kp. You are not allowed less than 3 ships, you're not allowed more than 10 ships. You can have no ships over 3,500p, you can have no ships under 750p. There's only one faction per fleet, all the ships have to be buildable in the campaign, that means no blocks that you can't get in the campaign, and no stacking blocks up in ways that the campaign wouldn't let you. There's no spinners, which means I define a spinner as any ship which uses rapid angular momentum to propel projectiles way faster than really intended, or a ship which spins fast enough to mitigate damage dealt to it. It's like a big spinning armor ship which blocks lasers indefinitely. Not really very cool. Then I'm also disallowing troll ships. Troll ships are big armored bricks in space that some people make. Yeah, they function, but they're not very interesting, so I'm going to rule them out. If you want to make a big armored ship that isn't a troll ship, that's okay. All I ask is that you make it sort of it has enough thrust that it can engage with other ships. Like, they won't just sort of sit 300 meters away from each other and glare at each other for ages. That's not fun to watch for anybody. So, these rules are kind of strict, yeah, I get that. I think that any good war starts with a few border skirmishes. So I'm most interested in the small ships that just can skirmish with each other, fly around a bit, shoot missiles. They'll have 1 or 2 main weapon systems and maybe a few point defense, but they're not going to be massive overgunned destroyers or capital ships. They're just little things. So the things I've got going around in the background are about that range. I haven't been too terribly precise about the point limits in this one that I'm showing you now, but I will be very strict come the day. I have to be strict, it's part of the rules. So, yeah, I've got three of my jeweled daggers finding the crystal miners. I'm always impressed by these crystal miners. I've built them in the campaign, and they just suck. They just die. Like, whenever I'm flying them, they just explode. But here, they dominate, because there's just so many of them shooting so many missiles that no amount of point defense can keep up. It's great. Right. So, a little bit more about the tournament details and rules. Oh, look at that shot. Just went pop. Yeah, he's still got one left. He's managed to take out a few, so he's a veteran, but I don't think he's going to be a veteran for very much longer. So, the tournament will be held in bracket mode, not in pool mode. However, if I get more than 16 entries, I think I'll probably run a pool in order to thin the numbers out to get a final number. So I'll run like an initial round with several small pools, and then I'll pick the winners out of those, and they'll be in the final bracket. I may or may not put the pools up to YouTube, but I think if I have more than 16 ships, more than 16 fleets, then the video might just take too long. 16 fleets is an hour long at maximum if all the battles time out, and then there'll be a bit of overhead for talking and congratulating the winner and that, and I don't think that a video longer than... wow, I haven't seen them win before. So if I see I don't think that a YouTube video longer than an hour is really going to be worthwhile. It's going to be a bit too dull. I'll probably run out of voice by then. Yep. And then if there's less than 16 entries, then I'll enter some of my ships, my fleets in. I don't expect them to win because I'll be using probably the farmer faction, something quite squishy. They'll mostly be there just to ensure that everybody fights the same number of battles, or has the chance at fighting the same number of battles, and we'll get to see everybody fight. Besides, my ships just look great when they explode, so that'd be great. Okay, I think that's everything that I need to say. Yeah, so this is the frigate Fracas. I'm quite interested to see what you guys can come up with. If this takes off and it's successful, then I think I'll run some more tournaments with different themes. So, other ideas are like one carrier and a whole bunch of little drone ships, or a destroyer deathmatch, or maybe we could even do a game mode where we have one big station, a troll ship, for each team, and whoever takes out the opponent's station first wins. And then I know that there's a new... Like with the new reassembly patch, there's going to be new tournament modes where we can put resources in and all sorts of stuff. So, if you have any interest, and if this is successful, then we can run much more interesting tournaments. Yeah, where resource gathering could be a thing, where anything could be something interesting to play with. Right. Now, I just want to do one quick thing right at the end here. I'll go into one of my existing games. Hopefully I have one that'll work. Will do. So, when I said no block stacking, there is one slight exception, and I think this is kind of obvious, and everybody should probably know how to do it, so I'm just going to show you now. When you have a rocket launcher, it generates a missile, and then if the missile is there, you can't build a block in front of it. It just won't let you put it down. It just tries to put it somewhere else, right? Because obviously the missile is taking up this block. But, if you put the block there, and then drop the missile down, it works. Sometimes. I think you need one of these. Yeah, so you see it'll draw the missile inside the block, and it works. Now this is kind of block stacking, but I'm going to allow this because the missile itself works, and it's not difficult to do. I think more or less everybody does this. I've got some in most of my designs. There's a missile launcher. I don't think this ship has missiles. It's got mines, yeah. So you can see this mine is technically overlapping the block. That's fine. If it's a projectile, I don't mind. If it's like an entire gun or thrusters sort of overlapping things in strange directions, that's kind of cheating, and I'm not going to allow that. But everything else should be fine. So, thank you guys for watching, and I'll hope to get your submissions from you soon.